Good evening, this is Rachel with Infused Meadows, and I'm going to show you how I make my potato salad. So, I've got 2 eggs that I've boiled. I'm cutting these into a little more than what you'd call bite size. And this has got a little bit of cold water in it, where I will then rinse these off really well, and then put some warm water in there. Okay, so I apologize, I'm very focused. What do I have so far? I've got 2 eggs that I've boiled. They're sitting in the cold water so that they can get cool to use in this. I've also got 1/4 cup of cut up pickles. Now, you use whatever you like. I can my own dill pickles. I can't get dill over here. Dill pickles, sorry, I can buy dill. I can't get dill pickles here. So, I can my own. You can use the sweet pickles, you can use bread and butter, you use whichever pickles you like. I've also chopped up finely 1 large yellow onion in this container. Now I'm going to use probably about 1 cup into my potato salad. The rest of that is going to go into my baked beans, which will be my next video, because for dinner tonight we're having baked beans, potato salad, and chicken. So I've shown you how to make the homemade barbecue sauce. That is going to come into play with this, as well as the mayonnaise that I've shown you how to make. And then other than that, you'll need salt and pepper to taste. Okay, so I'm going to get all these potatoes peeled and put into this, rinsed off, and then on the stove to boil. I will be adding about 1/2 teaspoon to 1 teaspoon of salt to my water. That's just something I do. I rinse them off really well, and then I like to add some salt to the water, okay? And then we will be back. Apologies. I'm back sooner than you thought. Actually, you blinked. Okay, so I have roughly 8 of these medium small potatoes. So if you are in the U.S., I recommend russets. If you're in the U.K., the Maris Pipers, but there are some people that sell russets here. I know because I found them. That's what I use. I found them on Amazon, I do believe. Now, I don't know if this is, where they grew them. Maybe they got hit by some frost. But I have dealt with some bad centers. So anyway, they're medium to small. And so that's why I have 8. So I figure by the time I get all these, if I'm taking into account there's probably going to be some bad centers in these. And so by that, I should end up with 1.5 pounds of potatoes that I'm putting into these bite-sized pieces. We're going to boil these until they're only just fork tender. You don't want these falling apart. Okay, so at fork tender, I usually start checking them once they've boiled for about 6 minutes. 5 to 6 minutes, and I just, once they're not hard as a rock in the center, I pull them. And then you're going to put them into some cold water just to do the same as the eggs. Then we're going to put them into a bowl. So we will be back. Okay, those are all peeled and in. I just got to rinse them. I usually rinse mine 3 times until the water is clean. So if it takes 4, it takes 4. If you've washed your potato really well, I like to take those nail scrubbers and I scrub my potatoes. Didn't do that today because I'm doing something different with these, but if you scrub these really well, cut off any bad spots, and then take this, you can drop these into some hot oil, kind of like you would if you're deep frying anything else, and you just deep fry these for 30-45 seconds, and then pull them, sprinkle you some salt or some ranch seasoning or whatever you like, and there you go. You got yourself a nice little chip. It's not the same as, no skins at all, but it's a nice treat, and that saves you from having to get rid of them. All right, we'll be back. Potatoes are on the stove, medium high. Got my salt. Once this starts boiling, I'm just going to stand here and watch it, if I'm honest with you. I set a timer for 5 minutes, and then that way at the end of the 5 minutes, I will literally pull one out, one of the bigger ones out with a spoon, and just, poke it with a fork. If it's very tough in the center, we're going to keep boiling. If it goes in very easily, that's when I'm going to pull them and put them into a bowl with some cold water. And I'll let them set in that cold water for probably about 5 minutes. I don't need them really cold. I just don't need them really hot. We'll be back. Okay, so to give you a quick what I'm doing. Potatoes I've rinsed them off since they've boiled in some cold water. Let them set for about 2 minutes. Like I said, I don't want these ice cold, but I didn't want them, you know, steaming hot either. So now I'm going in with the pickles that I showed you earlier. I'm going to add, this is one of those, it's a recipe, but it's to your taste. We'll say a half a cup of that yellow onion. Now, I have my 2 boiled eggs. I've peeled. Now, if you're curious how I do my eggs, go watch my deviled eggs video. Shows you exactly how I do these. So, I'm going to pull out that center. And I'm just going to go around it, cutting it. I'm going to do the same with the other side. And then what I usually do is I just go in and I cut mine into slices. Now, I've worked with a knife for years. I know exactly how to do this without cutting myself. So, you use a cutting board, unless you're like me. you just know your knives, okay? And I'm just cutting these into bite size. Well, smaller than bite size. I'm sure you can see. So I always boil at least 2 eggs with this much potatoes. Unless, you know, the extra boiled eggs are needed for something else. I probably won't use both potatoes, or sorry, eggs. But I like to, you know, better safe than sorry. So I always keep what I need, you know, like I said, better safe than sorry. So it may only be 1. Again, this is off of your taste. You want both eggs, you put them both in there. You want more egg, don't make it into an egg salad. I've got a video showing you how to do that. An egg salad doesn't have potatoes in it. Okay. I always just judge it based off of the size egg that you do. So I'm looking for, you know, at least that much egg. I don't like this to be too eggy. I'm going to rinse my hands and we'll be right back. Okay, so I'm going to go in with my mayonnaise first. Now, this is, like I said, this is one of those, it's a recipe, but it's not. I like to start with at least, you know, about a cup of mayonnaise. And then you'll know as you stir it, if everything looks dry, add more. So I'm going to start there. And I've shown you how to make mayonnaise. I'm working on mustard. Excuse that. Okay, we're full of jokes today. Apologies for the bottle. It is the bottle, okay? We're going to give this a stir. I like to just kind of go under, fold over, try not to make too big of a mess. You just don't want to press down on your potatoes. You're not mashing, okay? So don't mash your potatoes in the process. So under and over usually works really well. You want everything nice and incorporated and combined and coated. You can see we're not dry, so I definitely have enough mayonnaise. I'm going to pause this just for a second. I forgot my spoon. Okay, so I got my spoon. All I want to do is taste this. I'm going in with more mustard. I'm so sorry. So we're at about 2 tablespoons of mustard. like I said, depending on how much potatoes you do to make this, that's really going to depend on how much mayonnaise and mustard you're going to need, which is why I can't give you an exact recipe. It'll change based off of what you need, the amount, you know, whether you're making just a tiny amount for your, as a side for your dinner, or like me, I'm making enough for 2 nights. Or if you're doing a big, you know, a big cookout and you're going to take some potato salad, you'll need, you know, you may do more. So it's based off your recipe and your taste preference. Okay. I'm going to add a little bit of salt because I think my mustard is good. A little bit of black pepper. I'm going to give this another toss. And you can taste this again to see if it's where you want it. For me, that is perfect. For you, you fix it. You know, if you need more mustard, add more mustard. You need more salt and pepper, go right ahead. I hope that you make this. I hope you love it, if not like it. And as always, I'm sure there's other recipes out there. This is just how I make mine. It's how I've made it for years. At least since I was about 16, 15, somewhere around there. Since my mom showed me how to make it, I've made it this way. So if you don't like it, hey, I hope you find the recipe that's out there for you. And as always, I hope you have yourself a very, very wonderful rest of the day.